Today, July 31, is the memorial of Saint Ignatius of Loyola, priest. He is the founder of the Society of Jesus, who passed away on this day in the year 1556. Born in 1491, Ignatius was a different kind of saint. As noted, Jesuit historian Father John O'Malley, S.J., observed, Ignatius redefined the traditional basis of saintliness, which usually involved a degree of unworldliness. In contrast, Father O'Malley refers to Ignatius as a worldly saint. Ignatius made sure that the early Jesuits were spending most of their time in relatively secular spaces such as classrooms, teaching less directly about the Bible and church doctrine than about literature and the ancient classics. He sent letters to his missionaries asking that they write back not just about their ministries, but also about the local customs, the plants, the wildlife, anything that seems extraordinary. Most of all, Ignatius wanted Jesuits to go out and find God in all things. The life of Saint Ignatius of Loyola. In 1491, Inigo de Loyola was born in Azpeitia in the Basque province of Guipuzcoa in northern Spain. He was the youngest of 13 children. In 1508, at the age of 16, Inigo left his home to serve as a page for Juan Velasquez, treasurer of the Kingdom of Castile. He was frequently at the court and developed a taste for the material world. In 1521, he eventually became an officer in the Spanish army. On May 20, at the Battle of Pamplona, his leg was broken by a cannonball, and he was bedridden for the next year. During his difficult recovery, Inigo asked for books about cavalry, his favorite reading. There weren't any at the family castle where he convalesced, so he had to settle for a book about the life of Christ and biographies of the saints, topics which he found unexpectedly riveting. The soldier had always dreamed of imitating heroes, but now all heroes had names like Francis of Assisi and Catherine of Siena. Ignatius also noticed something strange happening to him. God, he realized, was working within him, prompting, guiding, inviting. In March of 1522, Ignatius was well enough to leave home with a newfound zeal to serve God. He came to the shrine of Our Lady of Montserrat and kept a vigil at night. He left his sword at the altar and gave his fine clothes to a poor man. He cast aside his life as a noble soldier and dressed himself in rough clothes and sandals so as to take up the life of a poor pilgrim. He lived in the cave outside the town of Manresa. Ignatius began writing about the emotions that took hold of him: feelings of gratitude and anguish, consolation and sadness, while encountering Scripture. It was here where he started to work on what would become the spiritual exercises. The spiritual exercises is a series of compilations on meditations, prayers, and other contemplative practices meant to be used like a handbook, especially for spiritual directors who accompany and guide people through the process of reflection and prayer. It is also a series of exercises focused on the idea that stretching oneself spiritually is as important as an athlete's conditioning routine. In 1524, Ignatius felt a calling to the priesthood, but did not have the educational requirements. To answer his vocation, he had to go back to school, where he studied Latin grammar along children. In 1529, Ignatius continued his education at the University of Paris. It was here where he introduced classmates to the spiritual exercises. While studying at the University of Paris, Ignatius boarded with two men who would not only join him in forming the Society of Jesus, but would also be canonized as saints, Francis Xavier and Peter Faber. In 1534, Ignatius and 6 others, including Francis Xavier and Peter Faber, pronounced vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience, and formed the Society of Jesus. In 1538, on Christmas morning, Ignatius celebrated his first Mass in the Church of St. Mary Major in the Chapel of the Manger in Rome. Ignatius was joined by 6 companions when the Society of Jesus started as a religious order, which brought the number of total Jesuits in 1540 to 7. In 1540, of September 27, Pope Paul III made the Society of Jesus an official religious order in the Catholic Church. Its members unanimously elected Ignatius as the first Father General. Most religious orders profess 3 vows. Jesuits are invited to take the 4th vow, obedience to the Pope. Jesuits are invited to take the 4th vow, which is obedience to the Pope. This vow means that Jesuits must be ready to accept whatever mission the Pope requires. It reflects their broader dedication to the universal Church and to the greater good of all the people from all faiths and cultures. In 1541, for the next 15 years, Ignatius would lead a society from 2 small rooms in Rome. It is here where he composed the constitutions of the Society of Jesus and wrote many letters to his growing number of brothers in the society. The initial 7 members of the society would grow over to 1,000. Jesuit schools and churches were founded throughout Europe, and Jesuit missionaries traveled as far west as Brazil and as far east as Japan. Despite this new responsibility, Ignatius continued to serve the poor and sick in Rome. In 1556, ever since his student days in Paris, Ignatius had suffered from stomach ailments which became increasingly worse. In late July, Ignatius complained of stomach pains. On July 31, he succumbed to his illness and died. Ignatius' Prayer. Take, Lord, and receive all my liberty, my memory, my understanding, and my entire will, all I have and call my own. You have given all to me, to you, Lord, I return it. Everything is yours. Do it with what you will. Give me only your love and your grace. That is enough for me. In 1609, Ignatius was beatified by Pope Paul V on July 27.